Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 945.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to cover actually one of my favorite topics. One that you might not know I feel very strongly about, but that is the category of collectibles. And that's because I've been an art collector, a gemstone collector, and a collector of cars and other things for a very long time. It happens to be one of my favorite investing categories, but yet it's been very difficult to explain to people how to invest in collectibles, and I was excited to see a well-written article about it that starts to talk about this subject. Right now, of course, collectibles are very popular in forms of non-fungible tokens, NFTs, those one-time digital artworks or music works or a unique individual digital work of any kind. And we've also heard baseball cards are very hot. There's a lot of collectibles right now that are extremely hot, and they're setting record prices in virtually every category. So I wanted to talk with you about collectibles and the fact that collectibles tend to thrive in a cycle that is more of an inflationary cycle. And since we've been in a deflationary cycle for around 40 years now, this is really a big deal because we're changing what is possibly going to be the better investments in the future. And that's why we've seen things like oil prices go up. We've seen uranium prices go up. We're also seeing some commodity prices go up, such as coffee, cotton, and some other things, because now we're getting into an inflationary cycle. So this article is about how to invest in a booming collectibles market, and it was written by Ryan Ermey from CNBC.com. And it says, with the explosion in popularity of non-fungible tokens, online investors and collectors have bid up the prices of all manners of digital collectibles, from basketball cards to drawings of rocks to virtual racehorses. But many of the traditional items people like to collect are seeing a surge in popularity too. At the beginning of 2020, there was a slowdown in auctions and exhibitions, says Laura Doyle, art, jewelry, and valuable collections manager at insurer Chubb. Then, with people spending more time indoors, they had more time to devote to their passions, including collecting. As a result, she says, we've seen record-setting prices on virtually every category. With prices on the rise, many investors see collectibles as an investment opportunity. Nearly half of Americans, or 47%, say they'd purchase jewelry as an investment if they had the money to do so, according to a recent Chubb survey. About 40% said they'd do the same with art, and about a third of respondents said they'd add wine to their portfolio if they could. Experts say you can strategically start a collection while maximizing your chances that your valuables appreciate over time. Number 1, be an informed collector. If you're hoping to eventually turn a profit on your collection, you'll need expert knowledge of the field you're collecting in, said Zillary Twill, an accredited senior appraiser of fine art with the American Society of Appraisers. The goal is to learn as much as you can and be an informed collector, she says. That's the key to everything. You wouldn't go out and buy stocks without doing your research. In the world of fine art, that means keeping up with all the free literature you can get your hands on to get a sense of art and artists that are trending among collectors, Twill says. All the major galleries have email lists, and some offer virtual viewings. Auction houses such as Sotheby's, Christie's, and Phillips have very good writers who put out articles about recent trends and market studies. If you're not sure where to start, experts recommend getting in touch with an auction house or advisory firm that specializes in the commodity you want to begin collecting. You want to go to reputable people who will advise you. Ultimately, their goal may be to sell you something, but they're going to give you the confidence and knowledge to feel good about what you're buying, says Irv Goldman, CEO of wine auction house Acker Wines. You don't want to just read something online and go, "This sounds good," he adds. Go to a company trying to get people to invest in wine and pick their brain. Ask them how they pick their wine and what their process is. Like anything else, you have to do your homework. Number 2, calibrate your expectations. Depending on what and how you collect, you may be able to earn a good return on your investment. According to Acker's data, an index of fine and rare wines has returned a cumulative 242% since the beginning of 2006. That's less than the 300% return in the S&P 500, but a respectable number that came with a fraction of the volatility of the stock market over the same period, according to Goldman. Any single collectible you buy has a chance to deliver a much more dramatic return in either direction. Designer sneakers are currently a $79 billion market that's expected to grow to $120 billion by 2026, says Twill. It's not hard for a collector to imagine, then, that the right pair of shoes could send their portfolio skyrocketing, but things can go the other way too. Whatever type of furniture you collect will eventually be out of style, Twill says. We all thought shoulder pads, spiky hair, off-the-shoulder t-shirts, and leg warmers would be the most amazing look in the 80s. They didn't stick around. To give yourself the best chance of turning a profit, try to build a diversified collection of your chosen item that covers different areas of the market you're invested in. That way, experts say, the value of your collection won't crater alongside a downturn in a particular piece. For an entry-level wine investor, you're looking at $100 to $150 a bottle, says Goldman. If you can start by spreading your first investment across, say, 6 different regions, you're probably fine. Even if you do your research and spread your bets, there's no certainty that your interests are going to be aligned with the market, says Doyle. So buy what you love, she says, because you never know what's going to happen. There are no guaranteed returns. Number 3, protect your investment. It's essential that you protect your collection from damage and theft. That process starts even before you buy, says Doyle. Consider who you're buying from. More collectors are buying directly through online platforms like Instagram, with items being shipped directly to individuals. That can lead to issues with damage during transit. Once you've begun a collection, the best thing you can do is to make sure it doesn't decline in value is to manage its physical upkeep, Doyle adds. Whether you're buying for passion or as an investment, prioritize physical and financial protection, she says. That means appraisal, insurance, and proper storage. That process should last throughout your ownership of your collection, says Twill. You should have appraisals done every 3 to 5 years because valuations change, she says. If your stuff is more valuable and your insurance rate goes up, it's better to be safe than to have a flood and watch your art float out the door. End of article. Well, we're just touching the surface here, and I hope that I can report back to you a lot more about this topic, since I do think this is an actual cycle change, and this will continue on for 20, 30, who knows, maybe 40 years in this cycle too. But what we're seeing is that with inflation turning up, collectibles tend to do better than financial instruments. So physical items and collectibles fall into that category until, of course, we had digital items that came into being recently with NFTs and other things. But all kinds of collectibles will hold their value well in a time of higher inflation. And no matter what the Federal Reserve tells us, we are not in inflation of 2 to 5%. We are much higher than that. And John Williams at shadowstats.com does a really good job at explaining how our real inflation rates are so much higher than we are being told. So deciding what collectibles you might want to start collecting could be a good long-term investment for you if you study up and know what you're doing. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available so you never miss one of them. And all of my wealth mentoring podcast library is on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.